For nearly 3 years, Michael, believed I had my future carefully mapped out. My world revolved around Alice, a woman who stood out from everyone I had ever known. She was brilliant, always thinking several moves ahead, and her wit could effortlessly cut through any conversation. We crossed paths at a tech convention in Denver. She was managing public relations for an ambitious startup, while I was knee-deep in cybersecurity. I admired how she was unfiltered and straight to the point. She appreciated how I stayed composed even when chaos loomed. We weren't flawless, but our bond felt strong. We built what looked like a perfect life together. A snug apartment, stable careers, weekly date nights, spur-of-the-moment weekend getaways, and social events where our friends toasted us as if we were the gold standard of couples. But beneath that polished image, quiet fractures had already begun to spread. Alice was evasive whenever her past came up. If I mentioned her ex, Jonah, she'd go emotionally blank, offering a tight-lipped smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "He's ancient history," she'd mutter, waving her hand dismissively like swatting a pesky fly. I chose not to dig deeper, probably my first mistake. Then came the signs I didn't want to see. Nights when she claimed to be working late, only to come home with a faint scent of alcohol and luxury perfume trailing her. I brushed off the doubts, not wanting to become the paranoid boyfriend who questioned her every move. We even enjoyed double dates with friends like Jason and Leah, nights full of inside jokes and storytelling. Jason would always lift his drink and call us the dream team, and I'd smile and nod, masking the growing discomfort inside me. Out of the blue, Alice proposed a getaway to Portugal. "We're burning out," she said one night. "Let's get away and breathe for a bit." It sounded like the perfect antidote for the unspoken tension between us. That same evening, I booked the tickets, thinking the trip might repair the invisible gaps forming between us. Arriving in Lisbon felt like stepping into a postcard. The streets were paved in uneven cobblestones, the air carried the warm aroma of roasted chestnuts, and melodies echoed from alleyways and plazas. Alice seemed revitalized, glowing in a way I hadn't seen in a long time. She guided me through quiet backstreets, snapping photos at every turn, eager to capture it all. We hopped onto the iconic yellow trams, dined on fresh seafood by the waterfront, and stayed up late drinking wine, talking, laughing, rekindling what I thought we had lost. For a fleeting time, it felt like we were healing. But the illusion didn't last. A few days into our vacation, we were sitting at a cozy cafe near the Alhama district, sipping coffee when her phone vibrated. She glanced at the screen, smirked slightly, and tapped out a quick reply. "Work?" I asked casually, trying not to sound too curious. "Yeah," she replied, setting her phone face down on the table. That evening, while she was getting ready for a concert, half-dressed and standing in front of the mirror, I noticed her texting again, her body angled so I couldn't see the screen. "Who's that?" I asked, striving to sound indifferent. She let out a laugh. Too light, too rehearsed. "Don't get all possessive, Michael. Just some work stuff." Still, throughout the evening, her gaze kept drifting toward her phone, sneaking looks like it contained a precious secret. That night, while she slept with her phone clutched in her hand, I lay awake beside her. My instincts were blaring, but I wasn't ready to face what they were telling me. By morning, she was already up, humming to herself while brushing her hair, wearing a smile as if nothing in the world was amiss. "I'm heading to the art district," she said brightly. "You should rest. You look dead tired." "Want some company?" I asked, my eyes locked on her. She laughed again. "You? At an art gallery? You'd be bored out of your mind." "I won't be long." She gave me a kiss on the forehead, gentle, almost patronizing, and walked out. The moment I heard the door close, I reached for my phone. Before we'd left for the trip, Alice had insisted we install a location-sharing app for safety. I opened it now, heart pounding, and watched her marker move across the city, not toward the art district, but toward the waterfront. I paused just long enough to pull on my shoes, then headed out. The tram ride felt endless. Every jolt and turn only deepened the weight in my chest. As I neared her location, I stepped into a souvenir shop and checked the map again. She had stopped at a small cafe near the docks. Crossing the street quietly, I kept to the shadows. It didn't take long to spot her. There she was, sitting at a table outside, leaning in toward a man with sun-bleached blonde hair and a worn leather jacket. They were laughing, her hand lightly brushing his arm like they were the only two people in the world. The way she looked at him, it cut deeper than I expected. I didn't need an introduction. I knew it was Jonah, the same man she'd waved off as irrelevant. They were too absorbed in each other to notice me. I stayed back, out of sight, and took a few discreet photos. I didn't make a scene. I didn't shout or confront her. I simply watched the truth play out in front of me. Back at the hotel, Alice was lounging on the bed, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. "See anything good?" I asked, voice calm. Her face lit up. "Some incredible exhibits. You would have hated every minute." I smiled back. And that was the moment I began mentally packing my bags. That night, as she curled up next to me, sleeping peacefully as always, I felt the shift. Something had broken, and I was done pretending it hadn't. When dawn broke and she got in the shower, I did what I had once sworn I'd never do. I picked up her phone. We'd always shared our passcodes, part of our open and honest agreement. It took seconds. Message after message from Jonah filled the screen. Not just from this week, but stretching back months. I read lines like, "Counting the days. Reserved our spot. This time it's real." Then her replies. "Miss you more than ever. Can't wait to see you." Michael's completely clueless. It hadn't been some spontaneous coincidence. The entire Portugal trip was a setup, a smokescreen so she could reconnect with him. They thought I'd never catch on. I forwarded the entire conversation to myself. Every message, every detail. Then I deleted the thread from her phone, erasing the digital trail. When she stepped out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, I was sitting calmly, her phone resting back on the nightstand. "You good?" she asked, flashing that perfect polished smile. "Yeah," I said with a grin. "Was thinking we should try something different today. Something fun." Her eyes lit up. "Look at you finally loosening up." I nodded, but I wasn't really there anymore. As she rambled on about breakfast options, I opened my phone under the table and booked a one-way flight back to Chicago. I contacted the hotel and told them we'd be checking out early due to a family emergency. Everything felt distant, surreal, but I kept my composure. That night, once she drifted off to sleep, I packed light. Just my passport, wallet, and charger. Before leaving, I sat down at the desk, tore a sheet from the hotel notepad, and wrote, "Alice, I know everything. I saw it all. Enjoy the rest of Lisbon. You won't be hearing from me again. Michael." I folded the note and placed it neatly on her pillow. Then I walked out. I never looked back. The flight home was quiet. I sat by the window, watching the clouds pass as the burden began to lift. Just before boarding, I blocked her number. No more calls. No more texts. When I landed, my phone lit up with messages from unknown numbers. Urgent, desperate. I ignored them. I had other matters to tend to. First, I emptied our joint bank accounts, transferring every last cent into my personal one. Then, I called a locksmith. By the time I unpacked, the apartment was secured. I gathered everything she owned, clothing, shoes, makeup, and packed it all into boxes. I left them outside the front door. With the door locked behind me, I finally exhaled. Silence wrapped around me like a warm blanket. For the first time in years, I felt peace.